So this episode's a little different. No guest today. We have another guest coming soon, but with being fortunate enough to get the last two guests to come on, Kyle and Trevor, were both awesome interviews. We're integral pieces of kind of what the football program is today, and obviously being on staff or still contributing. We kind of wanted to just introduce ourselves more and kind of give the story of how we fell in love with Iowa State, how insanely we followed Iowa State, and how much we really love this college and this program, and really how much it's really meant to us our entire lives. So it's kind of more just to get to know us a little bit, and there's going to be a lot of very, very dorky stories, just because
I feel like if you think that the passion's just based on the recent success of Iowa State basketball and obviously not the regular like last year, but like the Fred era, like we didn't start up as the Fred era. We've been here since the beginning. So
we've been. I mean, obviously we're both relatively young, so haven't seen the full. Obviously there was a lot of years that weren't good for both programs, but we saw a lot of really tough years for basketball and football. But we still, for some reason, were just absolutely in love with this awesome program, and just as we grow up, I just feel like the people you meet that also love Iowa State, like there's just something about them. So I think it'll kind of help you guys get to know us a little bit, and just kind of I don't know, make it a little more personal. Just because up to this point, we're just kind of just two random dudes
that started a podcast about Iowa State
and just asking former players questions that I feel like most of you guys would want to ask, just because I don't know, like we're fans, but it's just really interesting to us to kind of pull the curtain back and kind of see how these players, what they were thinking, and just like what those moments were like. Because I mean, as fans, like all these moments we've been talking about, like we literally talk about all the time, like we'll talk about for years to come.
And especially like the questions that we thought of even before we had a podcast, like what the questions I asked Kyle Kemp, like, did you know that you're going to throw to Alan Lazard before you even snap the ball? And he's like,
essentially, yes.
Essentially, yeah. So like I thought,
it was a little more involved than just like, but he didn't like walk up to the line and like close his eyes. He's like, I'm just going to throw it down. Like he obviously is a pretty intelligent guy, and
it was strategic, but
also I thought what struck me most about that story was he was just like, I mean, I read what the defense was giving me, and like they were just essentially giving us a one-on-one,
throwing it to Alan Lazard,
our best player. So I mean, obviously Kyle's like, you know what, this is probably going to work out in our favor, but
a lot worked out in that game, and he went through it all, and like he's really important piece of Iowa State history when it comes back to it. Like
Iowa State history.
I've always said, I keep saying Iowa State history, but it's the truth. Like just the what he meant between the Texas game, the Oklahoma game, and the transition between Brock and him. He's really been a key part of it, and
especially because the quarterback position outside of Brett Meyer and Austin Arnott has always kind of been a revolving door.
Yeah, especially like we went years with like one or not three quarterbacks playing, and having Kyle Kemp unfortunately getting hurt and passing the torch to a guy who has been the quarterback ever since.
Right, but just even the year prior where he was just like this calming, extremely intelligent, extremely accurate quarterback was exactly what we had been missing. And I think, like you said, unfortunately he gets hurt against Iowa the next year, but the transition from Kyle to Brock was just so seamless. And as far as Kyle and Brock are very similar in the fact they're both extremely intelligent football players, but also extremely accurate. I think Brock's a little more physically gifted. I think Kyle would agree with that, but I just think to come in with Kyle being a guy that's been around college football for 5 years, and you get the super talented, super smart, true freshman quarterback was just the perfect storm. Because I mean, like if you would have plugged Brock into a program where Jacob Park was still the quarterback, it might have been a little different. Just because
I'd argue that Brock Purdy wouldn't have came to Iowa State.
Yeah, maybe because I mean Jacob was a really talented guy. Just unfortunately had some personal things that hindered him from.
He's one of the most talented Iowa State player, like quarterback of our lifetime. I've said 1,000 times, but like
he was really
arm
talented,
strength
for sure. I mean, he had originally committed to Georgia.
Yeah, he was he played at Georgia and transferred from Georgia, and he had the arm strength and definitely had the receivers to throw to, but just couldn't connect it mentally. But and then Kyle came in and really succeeded, and man.
Well, it was just cool. Like Kyle, his story is just so. I feel like it's extremely applicable to life, just because like
what Matt Campbell is talking about and preaching, he did.
He bought in. He just, like Trevor said, he chopped wood, carried water, and just waited for his opportunity, and he got it. And I mean, to say he out exceeded expectations, I think is a total understatement.
I didn't know who he was.
Right, but he also, when we are a lot older, like you go down the top 10 wins in Iowa State football, he has 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh, he's undefeated against the top 6 teams in college football.
Not bad.
That's before that, like how many top 6 wins do we have in Iowa State history? Like
Iowa State history.
Like Okie State.
Okie State, I think, was our first top 5 win ever.
Yeah, against Jeff Woody and Jared Barnett. And
yeah, I know. But now, like, it's changed so quickly where we would be just absolutely dumbfounded and like taken back by the opportunity and like the execution of beating a top 5 team. But like now we could be a top 5 team this year.
Yeah. Like, man, like he was through the roots of Brock Purdy, Kolar, the whole offensive line.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's awesome.
It's happened so fast.
It has happened so fast. I think it's just a testament to like Matt Campbell, his character and his just ability to focus on details and just like having the players that bought into a system and that were just good enough leaders to get the entire team to buy in. And now like we recruit kids that are bought in before they even step on campus. So it's going to be a special couple years, hopefully a lot of years with Matt here. And I think just as Iowa State fans, we just have to take a step back and just enjoy every second of it, especially after this really, really tough year where there's a lot of uncertainty. And
which is weird because like when David left and Hakeem, I'm like, man, those are 2 best players we've ever seen. Ever skill players wise by far.
And David's now like a top 12 back in the NFL.
Yeah, like a top 5 rushing yards in the NFL last year. And man,
on a bad team.
Yeah, with a bad offensive line. Just like he kind of had at Iowa State, he overcame it, and he's one of the most. He just breaks tackles like no other. Like it really taught him well at Iowa State. Like he knows.
He had plenty of opportunities to break tackles, but he's also he came as a quarterback, found his niche as a running back, and just busted his ass. And you can see what he's doing now. So it's really cool. I think. I don't know. I never want us to become a fan base where we just expect to be in a 10, 11-win season and like get pissed off when we lose a game we shouldn't. I think we just need to be so thankful to watch football that's just fun and be around a coach and players that just, I think,
doing it the right way.
And they just, I just think like they're great football players, but it just seems like all these guys are also just better people off the field too. So which I think is so on brand with Iowa State and their fans. So we're really lucky. We've been really fortunate to kind of really talk to 2 players that have seen Campbell's journey from the beginning and
2 walk-ons,
former walk-ons that were huge pieces and are now on his staff. Like
so cliche that they accepted the process, they believed in the process, and look what they overcame and became with Campbell and staff.
Which I like what Trevor was saying. Like he's like today as a coach, I listen to coach and I want to be a better person. I think like as fans, like I feel like that's applicable too. Like every time you hear clips of him talking to the team, I'm like, that applies to just everyday life. It's really cool. And
what just goes to show like he's like built for a college coach. Like he wouldn't get that in the NFL. Like getting players that are paying millions of dollars.
Which I mean, I feel like the big news from the last week was the contract he turned down.
Like almost $70 million
over 8 years.
He must really love Hickory Park.
And no kidding. I mean, at Hickory Park today, it was still pretty good, but which is crazy too because I mean Toledo is like 30 minutes from Detroit, so like he's lived in that part of the country. Like it's not like it's a place that he wouldn't be comfortable living in. I just think it goes to show that Matt is here to legitimately invest in Iowa State and build it to as big as it can be. And I mean, 5 years in, he's done
And like you go back to his press conference, and he was talking about basically everything he's done already. He's like, talking about how I want to win Big 12 championships, and like back then we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But he's literally built that program up to programs that were afraid of him leaving, like the Florida State job, like Michigan job,
which never became available.
Florida State job did.
But yeah, but I mean,
they won a championship game in 2014.
True, but like Matt's been a Midwest guy. I think Michigan, if that job becomes available, is a legit threat to lose Matt.
But he would have to go to Michigan and build what he's already built at Iowa State, which is.
But I mean, you could argue you build something this quick at Iowa State, you get a place with even more resources.
But would he be more proud of building at Iowa State or just going and doing what Michigan has already done?
True. I mean, I hope he's the next Kirk Ferentz or Bill Snyder. I hope he.
Which I've heard is his role models is Bill Snyder.
Yeah.
His coach at Mount Union.
It's been a long time too.
So
yeah.
And like you can look at Matt Campbell and like what he's done, like preached, and like you can go back and like our fanhood. We have never bared our loyalness. We've always shown up to games, no matter how bad we were, basketball and football, and we've enjoyed it just as much. We'd get excited when we were little, no matter how good the teams was.
Yeah, like we would throw on our fake Cowboys helmet. We'd go play tackle football in the yard, waiting for a game against whoever we were playing, and then we'd be down 4 touchdowns at halftime. And
it's not like doesn't matter that we have the same players. We drank the Iowa State Kool-Aid going into the summer.
Every year.
Going to that UNI game or Ohio game, going into the Jack Trice, getting the same amount as jacked that we are going to be this fall, as little kids.
Yeah.
But having players that we've already known that are like the best in the country, it's a pretty special feeling that I never thought was going to happen.
I know, and it's just awesome. It's just so fun. Being good at football is just, I think, is the pinnacle of college athletics. It's just such a fun sport to watch. It's a fun atmosphere as far as just having 60,000 fans screaming their face off, and tailgating is pretty good too. And
we were drinking juice boxes back then.
Yeah.
And wearing Todd Blythe jerseys and going to Gene Chiswick's first game and losing to who would lose to, like UNI, and then we lost to Toledo, I think. And then the first one was the Iowa game where we wore those throwback uniforms, all field goals. We didn't score a touchdown against Iowa for like
a long time,
3 or 4 years. Remember that?
We've never seen us beat Iowa in person ever.
Nope, at any sport.
Yeah. No, that's not true. I saw them beat Iowa in basketball in college.
When? Oh,
Monte's game.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Utah's 29 points first half.
That's true. I was at that game, which I was not.
I was at the game with Iowa fans.
I was not a happy camper. We were fourth in the country.
Yeah.
And we stormed the court after, and I was not a happy camper.
But
we had 7 NBA players on the team. Man, I was not. He was our coach. Didn't really know what was going on. We've already been through this.
We're kind of, we're all over the place. This is just, also just before kind of we get into before we dive into our history I had someone ask us over the weekend, like, do we research about all these topics beforehand? And we don't. Like, this is all just off the top of the head what we remember. And
for the most part,
but like also like remember just wild details that most normal people have not thought twice about. But
yeah, what do you think? When you go back and remember since you're older than me, what was your like first game that you're like, man, that was a fun game in a sport? Was it basketball or football? Because you were
obviously I remember. I remember vaguely. We went to a Texas Tech game when Pfizer was playing. I remember being there. I don't remember watching.
When I was an infant and
when we were small, and
Albuquerque.
They were tossing out Texas Tech balls, and
Oh yeah, we had that ball for a long time.
I know, but I didn't get one, and I cried, and then some cheerleader saw me crying and like ran it up to me, which was pretty cool, but also pretty on brand for what I was as a child. But I think as far as like actively watching and like being excited about Iowa State stuff, I think Seneca Wallace was that guy. I mean, his highlights are still today, are just incredible what he did and just how truly athletic he was kind of before athletic quarterbacks were really utilized or maximized what they could produce at the college level. So he was kind of like the foundation as far as like my obsession with Iowa State.
Yeah. Because you got a high five with him.
High five. And obviously then after the Pfizer Tinsley years, we
diminished.
But also as far as us, we had that highlight tape on VCR.
Yeah,
we literally would throw it in our 19-inch VCR TV combo, and we would play on a Fisher-Price basketball hoop in the basement and just watch it and
beat the crap out of each
other, just try to imitate what Tinsley would do. And
we failed.
Yeah, but we probably watched that thing
hundreds of times.
Yeah. So and we were what, 5 or 6? We really didn't really have the concept as far as just, I don't know how big college sports were. We were like, these guys are fun to watch, and I just want to imitate these people as much as we can.
And going into Hilton, when Dad would bring us to Hilton, and just walking in and watching it on TV and smelling the concession stand, the snacks, just the general feel Hilton, and you walk over and you see the court and the players going on and you're a little kid. Man, there's no better feeling than doing that. Because it
all started with we would park way too far away from the stadium in Iowa and during the winter, which is cold, and then our dad would
make us run.
No, I mean he would make us run. He would just start running out of nowhere, and
we had to follow him.
4-year-old Thomas is I guess this is just what we do to.
You just feel like
get to Hilton. We just run, and then you walk in. Hilton just has a smell, an aura about it when you walk in. It's just you walk in the front entrance and you get a whiff of the popcorn and everything, and then you see someone handing out programs.
You see our dad would be nice enough to go buy us the jersey that before the name and likeness ruined the numbers of the jersey. You go get the Jake Sullivan jersey or Curtis Stinson and Sean Clark jerseys. Even we weren't really good, but we had still had fun players.
But they were so fun to watch, and Hilton is just, I don't know, when Hilton's at its peak, it's really fun to be at. So I guess that kind of goes into my next, my true I don't know, fan defining moment would be the Texas game at Hilton.
Yeah,
when Boddicker misses the free throw. Damian Staples had the game clinching dunk. It was so loud. We were sitting probably the 14th row on the parquet. I had never been in a place that was that loud, and it was just crazy. And I remember the fans stormed the court, and I looked at my dad. I was like, "Can we storm?" And he's like, "No, we got to get back to the hotel because Thomas wasn't there because Thomas got in trouble for something." And
I don't remember. I was misbehaving, and I just remember watching in the hotel. I'm like, "Gosh, damn, it looks so much fun."
Which, to think back,
I was
one of the meanest things our parents ever did to you was
I must have done something really bad.
Yeah.
And also Texas was ranked, and we hadn't really
Royal Ivy was really good.
We hadn't really. Rick Barnes was the coach of Texas. Yeah. We were really good for a while. We had Jake Sullivan on that team.
Yep.
John Neal was on the team.
Yep. Damian Staples was pretty good.
Jared Holman,
really good. Yeah. No, I mean, we had some fun basketball teams we watched as kids. It was just I feel like it was always ups and down seasons where we beat someone we weren't supposed to, then we would lose to someone we weren't supposed to. But as kids, you only remember the good parts. You don't. We would be crushed after every loss, but
yeah, we don't remember the Hampton game. Imagine if we were.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that would have been brutal. You do remember the Alabama game though. I don't remember that game, but you remember that game.
Yeah, the infamous Tony Yelk field goal that was good but wasn't good prior to replay.
Michael had a meltdown.
I ruined the family get together. But, you know.
How old you had to be like 6 or 7.
Yeah, too old to know. Or Uncle Barry was wearing like a corn cob shirt or something. Remember that?
No, I was 4, so.
Yeah, well. But yeah, so like it just, I mean, the weird thing is like I was born in Nebraska. Thomas was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So like we weren't born in Iowa. We just had thankfully a dad that was like obsessed with Iowa State. Like I remember he'd be on the phone with like DirecTV, and when we lived in New Mexico, like just trying every which way to get an Iowa State game on TV.
Which is funny is because he grew up a huge Iowa State fan going.
Yeah, he had season tickets. Like he went all to any football game he wanted to. Went to Hilton with incredible seats, like in the top 10 rows.
He was there before even Johnny Orr was there, and
true,
we were not as good. And he moved away from Iowa and ended up in Albuquerque on the best team in Iowa State history.
Yeah, so yeah, we lived in Albuquerque during the Pfizer years. The Pfizer year, the year we lost to Michigan State.
Yeah,
which again,
bad luck.
Bad.
That's why
we moved back to Iowa the next year for Tinsley senior year.
And then Dad drove to Lubbock to go watch the Texas Tech game. That's really when you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so it's kind of a culmination of just like being around a family that grew up going to Iowa State sports. But I mean, when they grew up, we weren't anything sensational, but like it was just, I don't know, there's just some infectious thing about our fans, and like,
yeah, it's just
we just get obsessed, and like we are way too invested in just these college kids' lives. But like, it's just fun where you get to go to Hilton or Jack Trice and just scream your face off. And now like being in a time where things are just so good, like it's just even more fun, obviously. But like as kids, like I remember during football season, like Saturdays, you'd wake up and your entire day would be just revolved around who were playing. But the crazy thing is, back when we were kids, like it was a luxury if we were on TV.
Yeah,
like we would literally just sit in the living room and listen to it on the radio.
I think the last McCarney game was
against Missouri. Brad Smith was the quarterback.
Wasn't even on TV, and I remember sitting at home listening to it on the radio, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, who did Brad Smith play for in the NFL?
Brad Smith. No, I think it was Chase Daniels played that game.
You sure?
I think he got hurt, and Chase Daniels played in that game.
Chase Daniels was good in college.
Yeah, I think it was 2005. Was the year, the what if year, where we had a bunch of BS things happen. The Missouri quarterback got hurt in that game, and Chase Daniels came back and roared back and beat us at Missouri.
Little did we know, like Chase Daniels would compete for a Heisman Trophy, which later in his career, and is still playing in the NFL today.
Yeah, backup quarterback, which he reminds me of Brock Purdy a little bit, maybe a little better.
Yeah,
you can compare those two.
I think it's
a good comparison.
It is a good comparison. I mean, Chase had some really talented players. Jeremy Macklin.
Yeah, those guys were good.
Remember playing with them on NCAA football?
Yeah, like going into football season, like every summer you'd go, it'd be like July, like early July, late July, the NCAA football game would come out, and we'd just play it the rest of the summer.
You just buy into every position was like, even like on NCAA football, we weren't never that good, but like we would mess with the ratings, like we would create that we were good. I'm like, wow,
You didn't do anything. I was the one who put it. I would take the Athlon. Dad would buy the Athlon from the magazine,
media guide thing,
and I would go through all the rosters and put them in manually on all the teams.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a pretty dorky thing that I don't know if many kids
how long would that take you?
So many hours. Yeah, I learned. You go quickly. Over time, you get fast.
But you can't. Like the way you type is like one letter at a time on like moving the joystick around.
Yeah, and then over the seasons, I'd go in and edit like what they would be wearing in the armbands and all that jazz. And it was a pretty fun time when I was little. And
I remember when you learned how to import sound effects, as far as like
Yeah, I'd download the.
If something happens in the game, you'd have the song, and you would have the exact playlist that Jack Trice would play for anything that happened.
I'd burn a disk off from the computer and manually put it on Xbox or PlayStation to put the songs in, and yeah, it's pretty dorky.
Yeah,
But it was a good time.
Yeah, I just
I
remember.
do that for basketball too.
But then, like, even like as we would like, if we were playing together, like we would each choose an Iowa State player who we were playing, and then like we would switch who we were, and like we would totally change how we were playing. And even when we played football in the yard, like it would be like Seneca Wallace throwing to Lane Danielson or Jack Whitfer or
Lane Danielson was unstoppable in NCAA football.
Yeah, he was. Well, especially like back then, like if you had a fast quarterback, like
it's a game over.
You just win.
And Seneca Wallace was Johnny Manziel before Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. So it's just like I feel like then transitioning kind of into middle school, still like the awkward years of life, but like still like you would just revert back to being a little kid. Like you would just anything that would happen, you would just scream at like the top of your lungs. Like a bad call would happen. Like you would just like you would scream like an adult, but like we didn't know the bad words yet. Like we were just like, what the like like saying like the ref can't call a phone number, he can't even why is he reffing or something like that. Like just the stupidest things. But like I just remember being so mad when things would happen that like wouldn't go our way, and then I was like, oh, it's just like they're out to like I honestly thought like someone in the world was paying refs to call it against us.
But looking back from afar now, like the margin of error was not very, it was very thin. And when the refs would sometimes make questionable calls and didn't go our way, and then we just melted down. And looking back on it, we weren't exactly that
right. Yeah,
good.
like and we didn't like notice the missed blocks from like
or the extra points or
like we would just focus on the one missed pass interference call that would have totally changed the game. But
2005, how many missed field goals we had? 2005 was a Kansas game. All we needed to do is win at Kansas, and my mom was trying to get us
put the Christmas tree up.
Just the Christmas tree up, and we were trying to. Mom did not know we had the Big 12 championship on the line, and I'm not sure
to win the Big 12 North.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what his name, the kicker, missed multiple field goals, and we lose at the end.
Was it Tony Elk?
No, I'm not sure. I think it was a different guy. Tony Elk was earlier. It was 2005. Tony Elk played in 2000.
Culberson?
I don't remember. I was 8 years old.
Oh gosh,
And yeah, we missed it out. And I remember it was 2005 or 2006.
Yeah, which would have been who was the Big 12 South champion?
I know, but what I remember it was December 3rd. It was a Big 12 championship game.
Your birthday?
My birthday, but Colorado did go and lose 62-0 or whatever.
Oh, it was Kansas State.
It was Colorado.
You sure?
I will pay you money. I'll look it up. You can talk while
I thought it was. I'm pretty sure it's Kansas State.
Big 12.
I'm pretty sure it's Kansas State. 2005.
Yeah, let's look it up.
I don't think it was Colorado. Colorado was never good when we were kids.
We shared the title. Yep, Colorado.
Really?
70-3.
Ooh.
Mac Brown and
Vince Young.
It was Vince Young and Jamal Charles.
Oh my. There's a receiver that's number 4 too.
The only player to score was who? I'll give you $5 if you guess it. Colorado.
You said they had 3 points.
Mason Crosby.
Ooh. Mason Crosby.
Yeah, 3 points.
He's been in the league a long time.
Yeah, he plays for the Packers with Al Lazard.
I remember he kicked it over the Jacobson building on an extra point.
Yeah. Was that during the tornado game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joel Klatt. Shout out Joel Klatt.
For those listening at home, Thomas is obsessed with Joel Klatt. I don't know why, but
because I played against Iowa State during the tornado game, and he's turned into one of the best analysts in college football.
Yeah, he's fun. I mean, he's also paired with Gus Johnson.
He also I think he likes Iowa State. He likes Brock Purdy. Went on Colin Cowherd and talked about Brock Purdy in a good light, and I'm a Joel Klatt fan ever since.
Do you remember back in the day, like when I feel like all we did as kids, we watched Sports Center all the time.
Yeah, with
and whenever if they ever mentioned Iowa State,
even if
that was a huge deal.
Even when we were getting our butts kicked.
Yeah, like we'd be getting our butts kicked, and they just wouldn't show any of our highlights.
Yeah, just like dang, they just hate Iowa
But
State.
that's what I remember about the Okie State game. We're like, they talked about Iowa State for like an hour.
We're getting so much airtime.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And I just remember, like, this is a program changer. Things are moving on from
Yeah.
here now. Like, we're going to get recruits.
We're going to compete for national titles.
Yeah. That was... We're going to do... Since we've been doing, like, a series of heartbreaks, we're going to eventually do one of Sweet Caroline series of all the good games, and that one will definitely be on the list.
Yeah.
Most unexpected game ever.
Yeah, which also on a Thursday night...
School night,
but also we pleaded with our basketball coach at the time to switch our practice early so we could make the game because I think kickoff was at 7, and he refused because he was a Hawkeye fan. And
yeah,
would have been a fun game to go to. I remember one of my teammates drove down after the game just to
be on the
storm the field.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
which, like, before Matt Campbell, like I did not see any good Iowa State games in person. Like, before, like, the West Virginia game, like, the blackout uniforms, like, that was, like, the first game I saw in person that was legit. Like, we were good. Dave Montgomery was good. Brock Purdy was good. Because I missed the 2017 year.
yeah, I mean, you moved to Arizona during the Kyle Kempt resurgence.
Pretty bad year.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was at the TCU game that year, and it was
pretty good.
Insane.
I was just at Arizona sitting by myself watching the game. I was like, man, I wish I was there.
Yeah, it was a fun year. Also the Memphis game, which was fun. Before we get too hard of ourselves, but like I feel like then kind of as we grew up middle school, neither basketball or football team was really anything to write home about. We just kind of would have good moments at times, but never consistently. And then we hired Fred Hoiberg.
People were very confused and didn't know what to think about it. And
I just remember Dad saying, I remember our dad was like, "This is a good thing. Like this is going to be like a really, really good hire, and I think things are going to change quickly." And I mean, you just look at like that first year, like we didn't have a ton of talent, but like we were competitive, like in most games, like we really didn't get blown out a ton, which was like a really big change.
We're a fun team to watch.
We also just had like that group of transfers sitting out, where like it was just like all about next year, Royce White, Chris Allen.
Chris Allen played in a 5-4.
Yeah, and like
started 5-4.
It just, and that team was so fun to watch. Royce was just incredible. When he chose to turn it on, it was just like he was the best player on the floor, regardless of who we played. And then I just remember like getting to any game we could. I remember I was a junior in high school, and I worked at Hy-Vee, and one morning we were playing Kansas at Hilton, and I had to work. And my dad was in Hy-Vee that morning, and he was talking to my boss, and he's like, "Yeah, we're thinking about going to the Kansas game." He's like, "Oh, doesn't Michael work today?" He's like, "Yeah, he does." He's like, "Oh, just tell me to go to the game. Like, we'll cover him." I'm like, and so my dad comes home, and he's like, "Hey, Mike, we're going to the game." I'm like, "What?" So I have to work today. He's like, "Yeah, I just talked to Jim. Like, you don't have to work today. We're going to the game."
That's sick.
Like, and then we're up in the balcony, and Chris Babb hits that 3 to clinch it, and
it was like that was like the first moment where it was like really it wasn't sold out.
It wasn't a fluke. We were better than them.
No, it wasn't sold out completely. It was pretty close to sold out. It was a gold out. We had the towel, as you said.
Yeah.
With Devin Clark. Shout out Devin Clark. And we're in the balcony. Chris Babb hits that 3. Royce White had that reverse layup. And, beat the crap out of Thomas Robinson.
Yeah.
Jeff Withey.
Yeah. They played in the national title that year? Against Kentucky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were pretty good.
And we beat them, and it wasn't a fluke.
Nope. And that was like, man.
So then like you get that, and then we make the NCAA tournament for the first time since Jared Holman, when we beat Minnesota and lost to North Carolina, who eventually won the national title. And we Like
Sean.
I just remember like looking at the regions, like Dad like broke it down. Like he had the list of places if we get like where we're gonna go. Louisville was one, and I remember we were one of the last groups to get called. And we
were the first.
Actually, you're right. But it was Louisville and in Kentucky's region. But like we got Louisville, we're like, okay, we're going.
Yeah.
We got up, drove to Davenport one like after school, and then the next morning we got up early and drove the rest of the way to Louisville, and
that was so fun.
We played at nighttime, so like we had time to like get to Louisville and kind of walk around. And I just remember just wanting us to win the first game, just so we could stay all weekend, like just be in a town where the NCAA tournament was happening. Gosh, that was so fun. So like we'd get there and like UConn was pretty good. Like Andre Drummond was supposed to be like a lottery pick.
Yeah, we hadn't been in the NCAA tournament in 6 years.
But the game before us was Kentucky versus Western Kentucky, and it was packed.
Yeah.
All the way to the ceiling in like blue just everywhere. Like Kentucky fans are no joke. Like
I think it's like an 18,000 seat.
Yeah, it was sold out.
Yeah.
So like we watched that Kentucky team with Anthony Davis kick the crap out of Western Kentucky.
Anthony Davis had a alley-oop dunk that he hung on the rim and got teed up.
Yeah. But like they were so fun to watch.
So
and then
so good.
Like we were like, I was just so nervous because like UConn was pretty good. Like Jim Calhoun's a great coach. They had Jeremy Lamb, who was really talented. Andre Drummond, obviously, we talked about. And then Royce White comes out that first position, dunks on Andre Drummond. Next position, does it again. And I was like, oh wow, like we could win this game.
Like,
then
shot the lights out.
Yeah, just on fire and just like the game was never in question. And it was just so fun. We're like, oh, okay, like we're gonna be here all weekend. I was like, and then honestly, I was like, we have a shot to beat Kentucky. Like we could hang with Kentucky.
I remember Coach Cal in the press conference said, if they make 12 or more threes, we lose.
Yeah.
And then we went and shot 4 for like
2 for 25.
2 for 25.
2 for 25. Which I think if we make 12 threes, we would have beat them.
Yeah.
Because we had it cut to 4 in the second half.
And that's when
Royce
dunked on
Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Looked at the camera.
Said, I'm the best player in the country.
And then we lost by 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, like it wasn't like a sad loss. I mean, obviously Kentucky was pretty dang good, but it was just like the atmosphere of the NCAA tournament was like something I'd never experienced before. Because I mean, like I don't know, growing up in school, like March Madness is fun, but like Thursday, Friday, you're still in school, and then like you just watch the games all day, Saturday, Sunday. But like to be not in school, just watching basketball all day, and then get to watch Iowa State in person.
That was our first NCAA tournament game ever, and we saw one of the best Kentucky teams.
That's what was so fun about. Like you you just watch a bunch of basketball live, and like teams that you normally would never go to a game of theirs, and that's like I was just like I got addicted. I was like, okay, like if we can like make a run, go to the NCAA tournament, like I want to go every year. So the next year,
and then
we got a guy named Corey Lucius, Tyrese McGee, Will Clyburn, super fun team to watch. I remember Dad again made the list. Okay, if we get one of these regions, we're gonna go. We had the luck of getting Dayton, Ohio, which to date is one of the worst cities I've ever been to.
Yeah, it's Fort Dodge on steroids. Fort Dodge, Iowa.
There's just nothing there. Long drive,
just
whatever.
A crapple.
Dayton Stadium's kind of odd. It's like really flat and really hard to see the court. But
yeah, I remember Willow came with us. He was like what 6 or 7.
Was really young,
and really short, and like
couldn't see anything.
Yeah, like if the way the seating is lined up, you can't. If you're not tall, you can't see.
True, but then again, we're the 7-10 game, so we watched the 2-15 seed. It's the Ohio State, who's pretty dang good. Aaron Kraft, we all know him. They beat. Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember.
Iona, who had
Tavon
Sledge.
Transferred from Iowa State the year before.
5'9" point guard from New York City.
One of the craziest highlight tapes ever.
Yeah, his high school highlight tape was insane.
He could just slam it. He's like,
yeah, so really short, but really, really athletic.
Yeah.
But so we see Ohio State kick the crap out of them, and then we played Notre Dame, who again, like everyone, like I remember back then we still didn't get a ton of national respect. Like everyone just expected us to lose, and we just murdered Notre Dame.
Yeah, they torched them. Tyrus was on fire.
Just
Will Clyburn played so well. We were playing so well that game.
Yeah, that team was like very underseeded. Like that team was really, really good. They just, again, consistency wasn't there yet. And
Offensively wise, my favorite team of the Hoiberg era. To watch.
I mean, Tyrus McGee, like his routine, like they get to the under 16 timeout, Fred would bring in Tyrus, and he would fire up a couple threes in the first couple possessions he was in. Led the country in 3-point percentage that year. Yeah, they were just so fun to watch. And then, like it was crazy back then too. Like we just, like you don't buy tickets because like you don't know if you're gonna play the next game. So like, remember our dad scouted just really good seats for me and you. We're sitting a couple rows behind the Hoiberg family.
Oh, directly behind the Hoiberg family.
And that Ohio State game, like ups and downs, like they at times like looked a lot better than us, but then like we would turn it on, like, oh, like we could hang with these guys. And then like as the second half went, like they're kind of pulling away. And like after the under 4 timeout, like we just turned it on, went on a huge run, took the lead. The famous Aaron Kraft takes a charge. His foot was in the restricted area.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna do a whole podcast on this. We might as well touch on it, but
we will. But like, yeah, but obviously Chris Babb getting hurt. We'll touch on it. But like, I'm just remember like to like be winning, but the balls like then like they get the last shot. As a senior in high school, will admit that
we can deep dive into a different time.
I cried on the way home, and it was a long drive home, and
blizzard on the way home.
Yeah. Drove from Ohio. It was just a long drive, but yeah, again, like it was just the excitement Fred instilled in us, like in making the NCAA tournament, like it's just such a fun thing to do. Like it's just one of the best venues of any sporting event, and I'm hoping obviously TJ
who was on the staff during that game.
Yeah.
Can bring us back to relevancy, hopefully, and bring the magic back, and I think he will. We've definitely been over that.
Times. For sure. And yeah, so Thomas and I have just a lot of time devoted to just thinking about Ohio State stuff, imitating Ohio State stuff. A lot of emotions that have been totally dictated by how Ohio State's doing. Like winning. Let's deep dive in this. So like what you're saying is like when your wedding was on one of the most up and down games ever. We thought it was he scheduled on the UNI game. We thought we were pretty 2019, the Brock Purdy gets on the fumble game, saves the wedding. We were taking pictures. Dad was watching it on the phone. Emotions were high. We were like, 45 minutes before the wedding. It was close. And
my dad looked at me and said, "We lost." This was before he realized that Purdy
recovered the fumble.
Yeah. I'm like, oh no. It was like the third overtime.
Oh yeah, I remember. So Thomas was obviously in the wedding, and I had to leave like mid through the fourth quarter to go take pictures with my wife, and we were losing at the time. I was like, but I was pretty confident. I was like, we'll figure it out. We'll win. And then the bridal party walks out, and Thomas and my buddy Austin heads were down, like kicking their feet. I'm like I look at Thomas. I'm like, did we lose?
Yeah, we looked
and Thomas like looked at me. He's like, he mouthed the word overtime. I'm like, what? So then like we were just like taking pictures, trying to act happy and not stressed. And I just like, as Thomas said, like my dad was watching on the phone with like all the parents huddled around, they were instructed not to be watching the game outside, but they
your future father-in-law who's an Iowa fan.
Yeah, so he was hoping we lost, obviously.
He was stressed out too. He's like, he was kind of probably like, we need
Iowa State to win because like
the morale of the wedding.
Yeah, and then I see Dad say like we lost. I'm like,
oh no,
what? And like one of my groomsmen is like,
to put in context,
one of my groomsmen in college is like, we are never going to schedule a wedding during Iowa State football season. And I was all on board, and then at some point along the way, we ended up scheduling it on the UNI game. Whatever. I didn't think it was that big a deal because we were good, and I was like, we're just going to win. It'll be fine.
But at this point, we're like, we just went down the whole game. We're definitely going to beat UNI.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we were really good. Brock Purdy, ever heard of him? Really good. Like,
the sophomore year.
We're finally just going to take care of UNI, and gosh, credit to them. They had played really well. And
UNI had they got 2 players on that team that got drafted this last June.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that
Stressful.
was a very close
Stressful.
call to me
Which is
being in a bad mood at my wedding,
which I was kind of mad at your
sad to say.
Melanie, your now wife, that she scheduled on that because like we had so much hype going into that season. And then now looking back, and I'm like, wow, thank God I wasn't at that game.
I know, but but also like
because you can't feel good after that game.
No, but we won, so it was fine. But like, I remember like first half, like I didn't have to get ready yet. We were just like all my buddies from college, like we were all together again for the first time in a while, watching the Iowa State play, and like it was just like we weren't playing well. I'm like, oh.
But looking back, I was like the perfect way to start off the day. Like, Iowa State beating the crap out of you and I.
That's what eventually was pitched to me. Is like we're gonna be you and I, like we'll just watch it together, and then we'll have our wedding and it'll be a fun time. And it was close to not being the case, but thankfully Brock
beat up. If Brock doesn't recover that fumble, I don't know.
We only won 6 games that year.
And then
they lost to Iowa next week.
Yeah.
Or in 2 weeks. There was a bye.
Yep. That would have been awful. But Brock Purdy saw the ball and recovered one of the best recoveries ever to save the day.
Yeah.
And Sheldon Croney or whatever his name was snuck it in and won the game for us.
Yeah, that's
saved the day, and it was a beautiful wedding, and
it was fun.
Saved the day, and
saved the day for sure.
It was like
so just like, but then like pairing that with then what the Iowa game was that year too.
Yeah,
rained all day. Game day was there.
No. That was a different day.
It wasn't.
Yes, it was. We tailgated with Peyton all day.
No, it wasn't.
At Iowa.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
Thomas, look it up.
It was not the same year.
The Iowa game after my wedding because I lived at home after the wedding, as I did, and we drove to Ames together.
That was a different year.
That was the same year.
I don't know why I thought it was that.
Yeah, so game day was there.
So you weren't married yet when we went to the Iowa game? With
I was. That was 2 weeks after my wedding.
What?
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because Brees... What my misconception was because Brees didn't play at all during the game.
Yeah. Brees hasn't played Iowa yet.
My bad.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that gap was in my brain.
That's all right. Yeah, so then game day, rains all day, tailgating. Was
2 crappy Iowa games back to back.
Yeah. Year before that in Iowa City where
we sat behind
got hurt.
We sat in front or we sat behind the band or in front of the band.
Yeah.
That was really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
We tailgated for 9 hours before that game.
Long time.
And we should just stay tailgating because it was one of the worst games ever.
Both sides just really.
Our quarterback, who we were hyping up the whole offseason, gets hurt.
Yeah, it's too bad.
First quarter or whatever.
Yeah.
But little did we know we had a true freshman quarterback on the sidelines that was going to come and save the year.
Save the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, what's the most dorky thing you've done because of Iowa State?
Most dorky thing?
Yeah.
Most dorky thing? I don't know, everyday life or during games or
just.
So when I was little, we were not very good, and I'd watch. Like you said, we watched the highlight tape of Iowa State, and I would Dad bought me a Jake Sullivan jersey, and then bought me a uniform, and I would put on
a warm up,
and I would put on the boombox and play the fight song and run into the room and do the layup line. When I was 6 years old, and pretend I was Iowa State, and then take off my uniform, my warm up for the starting lineups, and that's
also had his head shaved because Jake Sullivan had his head shaved.
Yeah, and then my mom would, if I didn't take my medicine or whatever when I was sick, he's like, "I'm gonna call Jake Sullivan to tell you."
I forgot about that.
To take your medicine. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah, that's pretty dorky if you ask me.
Yeah,
I don't even know what the most dorky thing you've done. Nothing compared to that.
All my bad moments are just emotional breakdowns, probably.
Throwing the cushions outside of the Nebraska game.
Yep, that was bad. The Alabama meltdown was bad.
Nebraska game where we faked the PAT for people listening?
Yep, that was bad. That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like as a family, we had these just weird superstitions where, like, if all of a sudden things started going good, no one could move their seats. So I remember a couple years ago, our younger brother was at halftime, went out to jump at the trampoline, and someone didn't tell him to come back inside because the second half had started.
Which game was it?
It was
it the
at West Virginia where we lost.
the
The year before the blackout game.
So it was the
Kyle Kemp's here.
Cal Camp after we just beat
BTCU. So our brother was sitting out on the trampoline, and we started coming back. So my dad said, "You have to stay out on the trampoline." So they got a couple extension cords and then plugged in a radio on the trampoline
to play for him.
So he listened to the game on the radio in late October on a trampoline.
And we lost.
I would
have been pretty pissed off.
Yeah, and I think he was in middle school, so it wasn't like...
Yeah. Well, like when we were his age, we'd be already down like 3 touchdowns.
True. Yeah, but yeah, it's... Yeah, I don't know. We've done... I don't know. It's just crazy to think about how Iowa State has like dictated our lives, and again, like our moods. Like I just remember the up and down years just would ruin my week, and then
especially losing to Iowa. And like for context with it, we're from Humble, Iowa, and a bunch of recruits from when we were growing up went to Iowa.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of Iowa fans. We're very Iowa State fans is now the
majority of
us.
Yeah. In our area.
But when we were growing up, it was Iowa for sure.
Yeah.
And then we started winning.
Yeah, but I mean, again, we haven't beat Iowa in a long time, so it's been.
But back then, like Coach Mack was like even like Kirk Ferentz was like 50-50 against Iowa State.
Which is crazy.
But he's overcame that
recently.
But hopefully we can change that back to 50-50 this year and the upcoming years.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to explain to you guys how freaking doker you are, and I think last hour we've explained the
kind of the origin is, and just kind of our lives as Iowa State fans. Hopefully a lot of you kind of remember the moments we talked about, and are I'm sure close to as dorky as us, just because Iowa State fans care about that city and those teams more than most fan bases, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just fun. It's fun now we're good. We get to reap the benefits of a great coach and just a really good administration that's really put together some really good staff, so to put together some really good rosters. And I can't wait, especially after this year where it's just been no big crowds and no big gatherings, where we can all just get together as one big Iowa State family and scream our faces off and watch a really special football season. So,
yep. So, we appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, like and subscribe, leave some comments, tweet at us any suggestions for what you guys want us to talk about. We really appreciate the support, and you guys are awesome. We do this for you guys just because, as Iowa State fans, that we love to listen to people talk about Iowa State. So, tweet at us and let us know what you want to hear more of, and we'll talk to you guys soon. So, that being said, go Clones.
Yep, go Clones.